All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of my podcast at 2.0. My name is Brian. Happy flipping Friday and a long weekend to everybody who gets to enjoy Monday off. I have yet to check my calendar to see if I get to. So today we're going to talk about a newsletter, and I'm going to add to it a little bit and talk about a mailing list as well. So if you're running a podcast, I highly encourage you to have one and or the other. For the main reason, this is a purpose to capture your superfans' email address. And I wouldn't go as far as saying superfan, but email address of those that are interested in your content who have given their email address to you in exchange for, communication from you from time to time. So once upon a time, we used MailChimp, and it's more of an email service. I can communicate with them, give them links, etc. We've migrated from MailChimp to Substack for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's the similar sign-up process. They give us an email address. We have their email address. They are now subscribed. However, Substack will allow me to provide written content, audio content, video content to them. Now, they have a choice. Do I want to receive it in my inbox, or do I just want to look at it when I log into my Substack account? So we're kind of giving a little power to them, which is awesome. They feel that they're in control a little bit, number one. Number two, we can see who gets emails and who doesn't get emails. One other really cool thing that Substack does is it gives a star rating of how engaged they are with our content. So we can then segment that list and send an email just to our 5-star subscribers. We can send different emails to our 0, 1, 2, 3-star subscribers, trying to encourage them to get more involved with what it is you are doing. So that's a really cool feature there. And it's easier, in my opinion, easier to do than segmenting an audience out in other products. In addition to this, they will actually host your podcast for you. They will issue you an RSS feed, and you can say it is for this podcast. So when you upload an audio podcast newsletter, if you will, lack of better terms, it will then be distributed. You can register that RSS with iTunes, Google, all the podcast players like you normally would, which is kind of cool, especially if you're on a budget and don't want to spend on hosting. Now, you do not get a lot of bells and whistles. They provide some analytics, which is cool. The analytics, to my knowledge, are not IAB certified. So, there's that. They have yet to reply to a request I put in asking them about RSS 2.0 and additional tags made available by RSS 2.0. So I'm hoping they get back to me next week. That would be kind of cool if they are going to help with that whole process and providing additional tagging for our XML files, which would be way cool. So the newsletter we have is called a Podcaster's Newsletter. You can find it on Substack. As a matter of fact, I will put a link in the chat. So if you are listening on Bullhorn or watching live on Bullhorn, you will see that link in chat so you can easily find it. And now let's get to a really cool feature of Substack. So RSS 2.0 and the value for value proposition that puts your show on Podcast 2.0 players where people can stream Satoshis to you, and Satoshi is a measurement of Bitcoin, to you for every minute that they listen, and or send you a boost message with additional Satoshi to get that message in front of you. That is one of the cool things about the whole Web3 and RSS 2.0. And I'm really hoping these other platforms get on board with it. We're talking a lot about it here at Sitch Radio and really want to encourage you to pay attention to that if you are a podcaster. Last I checked, there were less than 5,000 podcasts on the Lightning Network, which leaves a lot of room. It's a pretty cool platform, And in addition to that, I shouldn't say some, the app I use, Fountain.fm, they actually thank me for using their app by streaming me Satoshis for every minute that I listen to shows that I listen to anyway. So that is pretty cool feature of it. Um, so back to the newsletter. Again, a podcaster's newsletter. It's a pretty basic text editor. You can add images. Again, you can add audio and or video posts if you choose to. The back end analytics again aren't all that awesome yet, but I'm sure they're going to improve that as time goes on. In my opinion, it's a better platform than YouTube podcasts and or Twitter podcasts right now because we can utilize it to get our shows out to the world, unlike those two platforms where you cannot even submit your RSS to be featured, which is unfortunate. Um, so if you do not have a newsletter, we encourage you to start one, and mainly that's for. I'm struggling with YouTube over here. Mainly that's just for improved engagement with your audience. You know, as a podcaster, if people listen to our show, we can see downloads, but we really don't have means of engaging with them. So, um, with the newsletter on Substack, people, our subscribers, can reply to that note, and it comes to us, which is really cool feature as well. Um, and it just provides, more community, if you will, than not. So I encourage you to check out a podcaster's newsletter on Substack. It has replaced our MailChimp, and we're having fun with it. There's some layout features you can play with on the back end. It's pretty straightforward, pretty user friendly, not a huge learning curve. And again, it is the platform of choice for us here at Sitch Radio. And let's see, is there anything else I want to cover? Let me check on my show notes because I don't want to leave everything out. Bang. Other than that, if you'd like to engage with us more, hit us up on social, Instagram and Twitter. Those links are in the show notes as well. And it's Friday. I'm going to get out of here and try to avoid the heat and maybe have a nice cold beer when I get home. Till next week, we'll talk to you soon.